Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Most Important Conversations meditations. We host these meditations Monday through Friday each week. Each meditation begins with a talk. The overarching theme of the talk is liberation, and the specific content each day from the talk is derived from our main ontological Life by Design program called Whole Life Architecture. This is a live interactive program where participants are co-creating together, but also working on their own individual life to create a life by design, as opposed to merely tolerating a life by default, which is the state that most of us find ourselves in. We are just tolerating a life by default, a life that seems to have happened to us, a life where we have relegated ourselves as a victim, a life that is defined by our conditioning, the conditioning, the way of being that we learn to be from our friends, family, and community. And most of our lives are lives by default until we choose otherwise. So Whole Life Architecture is a program designed to help us unlock our creative power to no longer be consuming life from without, but to be the sourceful creator of our own life from within, a life that is defined by intentionality, a life where we are always at choice, a life where we are always leaning into possibility, a life where we get to design everything right down to even our perception of what is going on, and that defines our experience of reality. For the last couple days, we've been talking about how most people in our society are living lives where they are resigned and unsatisfied. They are resigned and unsatisfied because they didn't have the courage to be transformed by stepping into the unknown, by stepping into their power as a creator. And to be a creator and to connect to the creator self within, we have to be at peace with the unknown. Yesterday we were talking about how there's that saying that all that's required for evil to prosper is for good men or good women to do nothing. So why are so many doing nothing? And what do I mean by nothing? I mean living lives of conditioning. I mean living lives according to the rules, the structures of society, the expectations of your friends, family, and community, even if they don't align with you, just to fit in, to be validated, to be seen, to be accepted. We fall in line. You can see this right now in society. You can see so many people simply following orders, putting aside their own autonomy as a powerful creator, seeking to be liked by the group, validated by the group, approved by the group, and therefore not standing powerfully in their own knowing of what brings life, what activates aliveness, what makes people rise to a higher state of being. They are putting that aside for the sake of being liked, validated, approved of, following orders. Like children who follow the orders of their parents because they don't want to be exiled or ostracized from the group. It's a survival mechanism. Grown adults are following orders. These orders happen in corporations. They happen in government. They happen in different communities that we may be a part of. There is no liberation in our society. There is only conditioning, and the conditioning says we must follow the orders, which is tantamount to doing nothing. Somewhere, someone at the top has decided who we ought to be, how we ought to be, and how we prove to them that we are being according to what they expect. And then we are rewarded for it with money, attention, validation. We became human doings many decades ago and have been conditioned to remain so. And this human doingness is rewarded for following the orders. This is tantamount to doing nothing, because it is nothing because it is not you doing it. I mean, you're actively doing it, but it doesn't come from you. You are consuming who you ought to be and what you ought to do from without, and you are following. So you are conditioned to do nothing of your own will, and instead to follow the will of sociopaths and psychopaths who are determining the trajectory of our society at local, regional, national, and transnational levels. All that is required for evil to prosper is for good people to do nothing. Another way you can think of it is all that is required for evil to prosper is for us to self-abandon our power as creators of our life, our power as co-creators and collaborators with one another, our power to connect powerfully and intimately to the essence of what it means to be human, our power to self-initiate ourself with one another. Since we live in a society that is largely uninitiated. All that is required for evil to prosper is for us to be conditioned automatrons who just follow the rules, who just follow orders in order to be liked, seen, and approved by the group. Where are you just following orders in your life right now? Where are you allowing evil to prosper? There are maybe situations where you know something is out of alignment. There may be situations that you know where some harm is being done. There may be situations that you are aware of that you could affect change in by being a stand for a new possibility, but you're not. It could be at the level of your friends, family, and community. It could be you're at the level of government. It could be you're at the level of a corporation. It's the oddest thing that I've observed that human beings, if we stand together powerfully as creators of life in community and work together, we are unstoppable, but we self-abandon and continue to relegate ourselves, siloing ourselves off from one another as though we are an island unto ourselves, and we are easily manipulated and controlled by the sociopaths and the psychopaths of the world when we do this. There was a book that came out many years ago called Snakes in Suits, and it was written by a sociologist who analyzed at that time, the leaders of the largest companies in the world and found that a vast majority of them were run by sociopaths. What is a sociopath? It is someone who is totally self-abandoned, someone who is totally disconnected from their emotions, someone who has no capacity to experience empathy and what someone else may be dealing with. And these people prove, according to the book, to be very effective corporate executives because they can be ruthless. They do not need nor care to take the experience of other people, even the people they are affecting, into consideration. They can only align themselves with the bottom line. They can self-abandon themselves. They are a robot of a human being. These robots are very effective at running companies. And now we live in a society where we are creating a society of artificial intelligence and robots. Who will run the robots? Who will dictate to us who we ought to be? This is the trajectory we are on. It's time for humanity to wake up. It's time for all of us to be a demonstration of what a human being is, and not simply a human doing, a robot, an automatron who follows orders. It's time to awaken the creative, intentional leader in all of us, and to begin to work together to change the trajectory of where we are headed as a society, beginning with your family, beginning with your community. Are you going to lead in your community, in your family? Are you going to be a stand for a new way of living and being, one that isn't defined by consuming life from the outside in, but rather one where you are centered, where your life is an act and an artifact of your own creative expression, where every action and every relationship and every choice is an intentional act of your own self-expression. For many of us, we are somewhere on a continuum of between the craziness of this sociopathic world, of the world, a world grasping for control, grasping for predictability, trapped in overthinking, worry, anxiety, self-obsessiveness, a noisy world, one that reminds me of a playground with hundreds of screaming children running and chasing and throwing sand at each other and pulling each other's hair and yelling and arguing, boys chasing and accosting girls. This behavior is that of the world. It is of the world behavior. We talk about being in the world but not of it. This is what defines of the world behavior. If you can imagine a crazy, noisy, chaotic playground, this same emotional immaturity, this undeveloped emotional state of humanity continues into adulthood. It's only exacerbated with adults. Instead of throwing sand, that becomes firing missiles. When we have a disagreement, as children, we don't have access to weapons, so we throw rocks and sand, or we punch each other and we fight. As adults, that becomes war. Throwing sand becomes firing missiles, and boys chasing girls, though that can sound playful in a playful sort of childlike sense, in the uninitiated, in the emotionally unsober, in the emotionally and cognitively undeveloped, in a person who has not connected to their center, in a person who is consuming life from without, this can show up in versions of sexual assault. What I'm saying is that the behavior of uninitiated children doesn't change just because we become 18, or because we're now 30, or because we're now 50. Adults are just big children, undeveloped in their emotional, spiritual, and sensual states. We are a walking, thinking brain, an automatron following orders, and have self-abandoned ourselves because we've never initiated ourselves, because our parents never initiated us, and they were never initiated by their parents. We are on a long continuum and trajectory of human doings, self-abandoning, not connected to their creative power. The adults of the world versus in the world are just embellished children, emotionally stunted, repressed, unactualized, uninitiated. We are of this, and we are also on our way to not that. For those who are on this path of liberation, we are extricating ourselves from the of the world dynamics. So we are still of this world in some respects, but we have the awareness and are on our way to not that. What Ramana Maharshi teaches us is to go to our center through his not that teachings. I am not this, I am not that. To get to our center, you are not your conditioning. You are not your family values. You are not your conditioned belief systems. And as you move through the not this, not that teachings, you arrive at a center where there's nothing but silence, nothing but stillness. For men, for the masculine, this looks and feels like an utter nothingness, a stoic, silent container for the feminine. And for women, the center is bliss. It is Kundalini energy coursing through their being like a live wire, but fully contained by the masculine, powerful, creative, possible. The feminine is ready to create with intentionality, and these are our respective centers. They are not uncontrolled, unintentional, they are not reactionary, they are intentional, they are methodical, they are by design, they are us connected to our creative centers. And this is what is possible for us if we connect to a community and do the work to liberate ourselves from the conditioning of sociopaths and psychopaths who have created the framework of our current world. Think about that. We are living in a sociopathic world. I'm not talking about the natural world, the life world. I'm talking about the world of men. Sociopathic, obsessed, mental, always reactionary, always fixated on doing, always fixated on growth for growth's sake without limits, without intentionality, without awareness, without consciousness. It's just a race for more, and whoever is in the way gets pushed out of the way or destroyed. This is the world that we are living in. This is the of the world dynamics. Will you be a stand and lead and demonstrate a new path and a new way in your family, in your community, with your friends and acquaintances? This is what's available to you once you commit to the path of liberation. As we move into our Watcher Observer meditation this morning, the invitation is to silence the chaos of the world that is coursing through you. Learning to be the observer, watcher of it, and not be defined by it, not be sucked into it. Learning to be in the world, but not of it. That is what this practice is good for. The invitation this morning is to center yourself, to extricate yourself from the sociopathology defined by the of the world dynamics, so that we can be in the world and not of it, so that good men and women can begin to create something new and are no longer accused of doing nothing and therefore allowing evil to prosper. Who will you be in 2026? Will you be a stand for a new possibility? Will you develop yourself, liberate yourself from your conditioning, create a life by design, or continue tolerating a socio-pathological world by default. We all have a choice. We all always have choice. Most of us choose what is easy, what requires no effort, what will not bring discomfort. We want to avoid discomfort and avoid effort at all costs, and therefore we get the world we have. You might think, how can I, one person, affect the world? The world became what it is because enough people believed that they could affect the trajectory of it, and so we have a socio-pathological world. Repressed emotions, devoid of any true sensual and deep connection to the life world. An emerging technocratic state that sees and views everything as merely means to an end. If enough people choose to create something different, as Margaret Mead said, that is the only thing that has ever transformed the world. When enough people believe something else is possible, belief becomes a creative tool to create a new possibility, but it begins with you as an individual. It begins with me as an individual, choosing to come together to co-create, to not self-abandon, to connect to our source essence, to go to the center that Ramana Maharshi talks about. I am not my job. I'm not my relationships. I'm not my degree. I'm not my family values. And you go on into the center and you realize you are a creator. And all of this can be recreated if you choose in your own life. Don't worry about the world. Enough of us simply recreating our own individual lives will transform the world. Focus on our own inner life, our own inner world, and our own inner community, our own inner circle. Focus there. Are you going to lead in 2026? Are you going to be a demonstration of what a liberated humanity can look like? Choosing powerfully to create a life by design, merely than merely tolerating a life by default. That is the invitation as we move into our meditation this morning, to pull ourselves out of the world and to connect deeply and profoundly to our center. Be seated in a comfortable position, taking a few cleansing deep breaths, and begin to drop into a state where you are the watcher-observer of your thoughts and the watcher-observer of your emotions. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. During this meditation, you are not actively thinking. You are emptying your mind and creating space. You are embracing nothingness. You are embracing the center of all creativity, the origin from which all creativity begins, which is nothingness, space, emptiness, the unknown. And as we sit in the space and emptiness and the unknown this morning, we simply observe our thoughts. They come and they go like clouds in the sky, moving in and out of our awareness. Our emotions rise and fall like waves. We observe and feel them, but we do not chase them. We do not attach to them. We do not ruminate on them. This is the first technique of liberating yourself from your conditioning, being able to observe and see your conditioning as though you are an outsider to it. something you no longer identify with, something that you see for what it is, a learned construct, an artifact of your childhood, of how you were raised, an artifact of society, not you. You are not it. You are so much more than it. You are a creator that can create new conditioning by design. You are a creator who can at will choose the trajectory of your life and who you will be in the midst of it. So for the next few moments, simply watch your thoughts with awareness coming in and out of your awareness. Feel your emotions rise and fall, and allow yourself to just be in total space, in a clearing of your own creation, devoid of the noise, devoid of the craziness, the grasping, the control, the desire for predictability, devoid of being trapped in overthinking. Allow yourself to just be empty and nothing. And I'll see you all in a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the world without from the world within. Welcome back to the conditioned of the world experience. Hopefully, through that meditation, you were able to experience a sense of separation from your thoughts and your emotions as an observer, with your ability to fully feel without being pulled down or in any direction, with your ability to see and observe your thoughts without identifying with them. And you can take this technique and this practice out into the world so that you don't become of it. You can be in the world, but not of it, by being the observer. And as you stay in the observer state, as you go out into your day, if you practice this, something unique, something strange even, you might start to feel. That you are outside of the society, that you are no longer pulled by the conditions of the world, that you will start to be able to see the world for what it is, as opposed to being enrolled and enraptured by its machinations, its socio-pathological machinations. You will notice your anxiety begin to reduce. The stress will dissipate. You'll notice you are unmoved by things that others are intently moved by and are in reaction to and are overwhelmed by. You will no longer experience the overwhelm as you practice this technique. I want to wish you all a wonderful day, and we will continue with a guided meditation tomorrow.